what is the revenue model that you're looking at for mompreneurs? I'm sure you were looking at, you should be looking at, because I'm sure there must have been cash burn in the last 5 months in terms of technology or in terms of your own personal space, by the way. I think you must be contributing a lot of time, your personal time.
We have. That's the reason why I started, speaking to some of my members. Like, if we are going to keep it restricted only to Facebook, then we are not giving
Absolutely.
any. If there we are providing a complete. See, the vision is, and that because it moved on to such a great extent, I think we have a vision now where we want Mompreneurs India to be an enabler.
Right.
For mother who wants to start a business, for mothers who want to scale up their businesses. So it's going to be an enabler.
Right.
So that's where we are positioning it.
Right.
And we have also thought about all the services that it's a one-stop solution, all the services that we want to offer.
Only for the mompreneurs.
Okay. So it's an affordable, comprehensive solution is what I'm offering. So now if this and this is in place,
right,
then we can have a revenue model as well,
right,
attached to it.
Right.
And we need the revenue model to fund our initiatives.
Exactly.
And to to scale it further.
Because you need money for launches. For example, let's say tomorrow you want to export to some other country. Because that's some you get
The licenses and
exactly,
all of that. It's
exactly
going to be needed,
right,
and we faced it now as well. For even if we have to put up a poster on the tree, we have to pay money.
Absolutely.
So it's all needed.
Yeah, exactly.
The goodie bags are printing of the goodie bags. All of that is going. So there is only to some extent that the founders can sponsor. The rest has to come now from the funding that will be generated.
So which one are you? So how do you plan to work out the revenue model? Is it through subscription? Is it to phase? Or is it to cut in every sale that happens?
We have thought of a couple of. I have yet to discuss with the team. Is that we could have a fee-based kind of one-time fee, annual fee, and get a package.
Right.
Or it could be free memberships, and for every service that you want.
You pay and you
pay and use as you
exactly,
for the service that you want, you pay and use. So those are the two kind of models. I'm open for any further
otherwise it's not going to be scalable. The whole idea is that it's such a beautiful initiative that it has to be scaled up to bigger scale.
Right.
It has to be. So and when you want to do that, you'll have accompanying costs, and they'll costs that happen within the premises of your own office or wherever. But also the logistics part of it, outside the company, for example, somebody has to go and face the product. Somebody has to travel to Bombay or let's say Delhi, for example, and you need to get a space for the exhibition. I'm sure you must have spent some money. So all that requires some money.
Up until now, it was all self-funded. So we have people who want to conduct something like this, so they fund it, they make the revenue out of it.
Very good. So it's more like a sponsored kind of thing.
Absolutely. So now when we move on to the revenue model, I would still allow members to conduct whatever
Fair
they
enough.
want, but if you're using the Mompreneurs India model, you will follow the rule book and you will have, you will deposit a percentage of whatever you have in the Mompreneurs India kitty. So, so we can fund our initiative. So you're making revenue, you can make revenue out of it, and you can use the Mompreneurs India structure. We allow all of that. So that way we are very democratic. We provide full support. All branding, all advertising, social media, for these exhibitions that are conducted.
Who supports in all this? Is it
I am there, my team is there, other members are there who also.
Volunteers at the
all volunteers right now.
You don't take any pay or anything like that?
No. Nobody is asking for anything right now.
Right. So it's almost like a social enterprise, if I can say that.
Right now it is a social enterprise.
But I think you have to give a shape to it so that it becomes a business.
It will not sustain in the NGO
because it will die, because if you don't have that engine, the fuel, the money being funded, pumped in, at least to sustain, then it can remain. That's what I'm saying. I think the larger picture that I'm getting is that you can still remain as a social enterprise because you find a lot of such enterprises. But then it has to be cost to cost at least.
Cost to cost at least, yes. But the main thing is we have to keep it affordable. The stalls that we gave out in NCR in the exhibition were as low as 4,500. The exhibitions over there are happening at 20K. The stalls, 15K, 20K is happening. How does a mompreneur get back her money if that's the amount that they... So exhibitions are a good avenue, but just because of the plethora of things happening around, even in Mumbai, if we have to go for any exhibition, it's too expensive.
So I'm sure you must be thinking a lot of other things, like for example, a lot of tie-ups with the corporate.
That's one of the objectives.
NGOs, for example.
That's one of the objectives is that I want to have tie-ups with successful businesses and pass the benefit of the alliances to our members.
Exactly.
So that's what we also do with the exhibition and event managers. We tie up with them.
For example, I'll just give an example. Let's say you showcase all your bouquet of products. Let's say you have just group them into maybe 6 categories majorly. In this, for example, it's a lifestyle products and then household products and things like that. So I'm just giving an example. Let's say in all the 6 categories, maybe for example, let's say somebody like us, right, you give it to the head of HR for Times of India. Then any such, because they also, I'll tell you what, the good thing that has happened here is I think Companies Act 2013 has mandated every company in India to go in to spend at least 2% of their money in CSR. So this very well fits into that, because they are they are actually funding, or they indirectly, some very interesting independent moms, and it's a very interesting initiative. So what happens in case, do you think it can be a good idea where you approach the head of HR and then
I actually don't know the legalities of this, but the idea sounds good, where if somebody takes up this,
because in one go the scale is so much. For example, let's say I throw open to office like this, you will be having at least 400 to 500 people here. Let's say every 3 months you conduct here. One go is done with. You don't need to spend even forget about 4,000. All that needed is goodwill. Then you talk to somebody and then just have a small store, and then it happens.
I think that we can do that.
Yeah, exactly. And then imagine in Bombay what kind of spaces you have. It's a huge. One thing is, one time you need to have the little patience to connect and shoot at you should be able to do it. And then there are a lot of people who want to encourage such things, because if you can help just 800 people at once, or maybe 1,000 people at once, to showcase the products, and then they're getting benefit, I'm sure there are a lot of people. Do you think that can be a good idea?
It's a very good idea, actually. Now that you've told, we will think about this.
Because there are a lot of businesses in one go. I think the whole the inventory of, let's say, in a quarter time, in a quarter, it's gone. And of course, there can be some perishable products. There can be non-perishable. So I think in perishability, for example, mocktail, you said, the shelf life is just about, like you rightly said, only 1 month. Then you need to have a different platform altogether. But mocktails and all must be selling like hotcakes. And then all the life, for example, let's say some of these things, people make some of this handicraft, like out of made of jute or of coir, and those kind of stuff. And those can be every office will have this thing, what they gift employees. So if you can make that as because the whole idea is, for me, the selfishness would be, now the most important thing next thing that I would like to get into is, can Mompreneur itself become a brand?
That's where we are trying
to brand now it is only service brand, because you are providing a service platform.
It will be, that's where I want to take it to the level where we become a brand, and any member who's tagged with us.
So they have to sell in the brand. That's what I'm saying.
No, they don't have to sell in the. Okay,
you get my point.
What I get your point, but I think that's a little too early for me right now. Maybe in the near future, where we can have our own store, and we have all our Mompreneur products selling through our store. But all that is, it's too early for me right now.
Because I'll connect you outside this discussion. I'll connect you to somebody like you. I met her, and I'm doing a case study. I'm going to do that in Hyderabad, and this is called as Chetana Color Weaves, CCW. You can find it.
I have color
weaves. Okay, and it is a very important story, because you would have seen thousands of people committing suicide in weaving community, weavers, right? In Andhra Pradesh, I'm talking about, and that's one of the oldest professions in the world, and definitely in India. So thousands and lakhs of families, but because of complete negligence, because again you have the handlooms, and then you have power looms, right? For saris, for example. Now, handloom will take a 45-day cycle. In one cycle, you can make maybe about 8 things, because that's a scale they can afford. You can't, right? So there are thousands of families, but because of lack of marketing, they are not able to sell, and they committed suicide. Thousands of people you would have heard. So this lady used to work for a company called Oxford, one of the best NGOs in the world, and then they tried to do it, but then somehow the scale was not working out, and finally it is also on the verge of bankruptcy. It's almost on the verge of that. She went back to World Bank, and she followed up with them, and they have a fund allocated for this emerging markets, and especially this kind of thing, which livelihood project kind of thing. So they're not sure whether they should do, because it's not happening. But then she did fantastic work, and then she gave a beautiful thing, which is, I would say, reverse positioning, with your permission. And what she did is, she gave a beautiful outlet called as Karga brand. Karga now is a brand by itself.
I see.
Where all the weavers' products are being sold through this outlet. That's one. The second thing is that why I call it reverse positioning is that now normally what people would think is that because it's coming from weaving community, it has to be sold in some downtown area, not an uppish area. Just imagine, for example, mompreneurs. You can choose to sell in Goregaon, or you can choose to sell in the more costliest area in Bandra or Juhu. Choice is yours. But the one that when you do it in Bandra, or let's say in Juhu and whatever place it is, you're actually doing a reverse position, because a very small item, but because it is being positioned there. Automatically it has a premium look. Automatically the premiumness already comes. So what this lady has done is, she has put up this shop in the heart of Jubilee Hills. Jubilee Hills is the most expensive in Hyderabad, and it is in the middle. And all the famous Telugu actresses have become great fans of these sarees. That's a wonderful saree. The same thing, she's selling it for 2,100. I have seen the sarees. Same thing is being sold in airports and other places at 4,800. Same thing, I can give you a live example. The same thing is being sold in a Fab India store for almost like 5,000 bucks. Now she's selling the same thing, the same saree. Just because you have an outlet. So similarly, what we are looking at is mompreneurs, because there will tomorrow 5,000 mompreneurs, that's fine. But everything that gets sold through mompreneurs has to be mompreneurs. Do you think that can be viable?
It is. In fact, we had started an initiative of having our own retail store in Mumbai or anywhere. But like I said, because we didn't have the funding and because mompreneurs didn't have the...
No, it can even start online. Even if you go to the offline, but let it start, because now that you already have a vibrant ecosystem being created on social network and all that. Now the next stage can be start mompreneurs.com or MomPreneursIndia.com,
have
whatever,
an online store.
And then let it be popularized, and then you already have the back end part of it, that's a Facebook. So from Facebook it can have this one. And then
it is a very good idea to have.
And all that you have to do is just make it an e-commerce enabled, so that people can just buy it online. That's where the logistics come.
Right now, we've all kept it free. We have something called as a MomPreneursIndia shop on Facebook only.
No, I think what I'm saying, that's just an idea, maybe, so that
it is.
Instead of having maybe 2,000 people, 3,000 people get benefited, because all that you have to do is, it is like in typical e-commerce site, you'll find, for example, Amazon. It is like a Flipkart.com, for example. Now you'll have two varieties basically. One is independent retailers, other one is aggregators. Now if you look at Flipkart, what is it? Is it having any products of its own?
No,
nothing it owns.
It's an aggregate.
It's an aggregate. So same thing I'm taking out for mompreneurs. So mompreneurs is just a platform that we have created. So since you are,
but even with the e-commerce side, there are some issue. We have to figure out all those things. We have to give them a value proposition and all of. So all that planning is needed for every initiative that is needed. There is a lot of planning that goes behind it. And right now, that coming back to the challenges we're facing is the manpower, having dedicated, active, contributing members, because I can't do everything by myself.
And then you have to pay salary.
And no, we don't have to pay salary, but
if you want to hire somebody, an expert kind of thing.
Yeah, right now because it's volunteering. So nobody wants to volunteer out of the time from their family, from their business to mompreneurs.
And especially on Saturday and Sundays, for example, so you get an order, then who's going to honor that? But I think that's the reason. But I think to make it viable, I think you really need to move
on to the next part of it that we are now.
Which therefore means that you might have to involve some funding.
Correct. Funding, tie-ups. All of that we will be working on. We need sponsorships for the events and exhibitions that we want to conduct. We want trainers and mentors to join with us, with us, so that we can have these education training programs to empower our mothers. We want ambassadors and champions, which is a hierarchy, which is the structure of MomPreneursIndia. We expand through ambassadors and champions. So we want that in different cities. Without that, we cannot penetrate. The ambassador is the representative of Mompreneurs India. Because we have one in Pune, we can conduct our initiatives there. Because we have one in Delhi, we could do the exhibition there. The champions are going to be the initiative owners. Any initiative you conduct, that champion is going to take the ownership of planning and executing it. So obviously some part of revenue goes to them, but we need people to come forward. You know, I'm not employing anybody. We need the active contributors. So of the 800, we barely have a few who are doing it, and that's why we have penetrated to Pune, Delhi, and all these places. So that kind of philosophy has to come and get in. That's my biggest challenge. If the philosophy doesn't get accepted, the idea will not work. So that's the biggest challenge. I think we will overcome it in due course of time. People are seeing the results. Eventually, the outcomes will speak for itself. So I think we are getting there.
So what's the next step that you're taking? Maybe the next 5 months or 6 months that we can expect from Mompreneur and Chetana?
Next 5-6 months, we have already the milestones in place. We want to make it improve the pace. And so the first thing that I have to...
Pace for exhibitions or pace for sales? What is it?
The pace for conducting these initiatives and the efficiency and how nicely we conduct it. Because if an initiative fails somewhere, it puts a bad name on the entire group. So that, establishing the ownership, establishing liability, arranging the funding, all of that has become the immediate.
So how do you use because you said you're a technocrat, so how do you get to use your technical abilities to get it up or scale it up?
Yes, I do. All the branding, design, marketing, all of that is from my side. So I have, from doing freelance projects, I'm kind of doing freelance Mompreneurs India now.
Absolutely.
And yes, there's a definite need for a website. Where we need to connect, and all the activities we need to bring both the segments, the mothers and the mothers in business in one platform. Right now it's all separated. So all of that planning for the website is all there. So the first and immediate need is to restructure, form a partnership body, or whatever we decide to do it, in whatever manner we decide to do it.
We can even do it as a society, which is therefore you don't come under the, I can't give it, but nevertheless, but the society, so you don't come under the, tax.
But we need all the trustees and all those things.
So the people who have been part of it, you can choose maybe out of these active members, like you're saying, maybe 5 or 6 of them, definitely from your immediate family, and those 5 or 6 people, and definitely somebody like me or a couple can join you, in case of you, why not? So the whole idea is that, what I'm saying is that society has its own form, and then bring it up.
We are consulting the CA to find out what is the best manner in which we can form a club. It has to remain a club so that we can keep conducting our activities, and the members can conduct it. So it has to be a club. It cannot be like an organization doing something. It has to be a club structure itself. So what's the best way to do it? We are consulting.
Because if you look at the roots of Amway, they have started like this.
I see. Okay.
So that I think, imagine the kind of movement it has become. Of course, I think in India it has got to become a stigma because it's the multi-level marketing and all that. MLM is banned. But then that's not the one that we are looking at, because it's a direct B2C. That means the business woman can contact the consumer. Only thing, you're only providing a platform. But the moment it becomes e-commerce, then you have service tax and all those issues.
So there are so many initiatives, doctor, that where we have those things involved, where we have these services, even for exhibitions, where we are going to make revenue. So it doesn't purely come in that bracket of. So then that's where we are figuring out as to what would be the best option, because there will be activities which are going to be quite revenue generating also, and some which
therefore means, if I can articulate what you have in mind, so that people can, we want to understand. Therefore, is that the biggest challenge that I see at not challenge, I think the choice that you need to make is, what is the shape of the organization that I want to head? Is it going to be a social enterprise? If it's social enterprise, how is it like? Is it going to be a business enterprise? Then is it going to be private limited? Is it proprietorship? Or is it going to be a limited company? Or is it going to be like a Section 25 company? Whatever it is. So I think these are the two options that you have. Either social enterprise, what's the shape?
We are considering having a limited liability partnership.
LLP, yeah.
Yeah, an LLP. So that's the best way, where we can have partners joining in with their share of liability in each city, whoever wants to have it. Or you could have an organization, a proprietary organization, and have the franchisee or licensee model in cities where we want to expand.
Exactly.
I think the LLP is going to be an easier way to do, where once the whole thing is set up, and then people can become the partners and join in as ambassadors in those roles. So
that's a fun, so that's a being having said that, that's the first one. The second one is we already talked about, and that is that the revenue model kind of thing. How do you want to know it, right? So good. I think all that we can do at this moment is that from ET cases and from all of us, wish you and your team a great luck. And then it will be a wonderful thing for us to revisit this story maybe about 1 year or 2 years down the line, and capture the story about the kind of journey that we made. And then I'm sure it can be a wonderful experience, and also in terms of inspiration to a lot of people to be a part of this initiative. And from all of us, wonderful thank you, and also great luck to you and your team to make it even bigger.
Thank you so much. Thank you.